Hey everybody, welcome to Elder Geek's Elder Speak. Today's Wednesday, July 23rd, 2014. My name is Randy Asenchak. I'm the editor of ElderGeek.com. Missing my pen. In the background today, you're not going to be seeing any gameplay footage. Today I'm going to be taking the time to show everyone my basic setup and maybe even give a quick run through as how I put together my video reviews, the process that I take. And hopefully it will, I don't know, maybe inspire other people out there to make some videos of their own, or maybe, maybe it'll give you some perspective as to how I do things here. So here we go. Now the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to break everything up into hardware and then software, and then I'll talk about my process. I suppose the first thing first, or the easiest to show is my actual hardware, and here you can actually see what my desk looks like. And starting from the left is my Wacom tablet, which I use for my 9-to-5 job pretty regularly, but I also use it for series like 25 games for my son. And almost every video requires some sort of Photoshop work, whether it's just the title card that appears at the beginning of the video, or even if it's the YouTube thumbnail. A certain amount of Photoshop needs to be done. So once in a while, the Wacom tablet will come into even just simple play. So Wacom tablets first. No, you don't need a Wacom tablet to do video reviews. Moving from there is my Blue Snowball microphone. Blue is the brand. Snowball is the name of the type of microphone it is. When I picked it up, I guess back in 2010 or even 2009, it was considerably more expensive than it is now. Right now, these microphones only cost about $40, I believe, on Amazon. $40 to $60 or something along those lines. And for a USB microphone, they work very well. And I've been using it for years. I don't think anybody's really complained about my audio quality since I've switched over to this. So if you're looking to do some sort of startup podcast or just, voiceover work at all for something very, entry level, you can use a Blue Snowball microphone. I recommend it. I would love to switch up to a condenser microphone setup for a much crisper radio quality sound, but I want to do that when I find the right price. Moving along is my mechanical keyboard, cherry black switches. I'm using a Myonix Naus 5000 mouse, which I do not recommend. Out of two different mice that I've used so far, the scroll up button has never been, the increase mouse speed button has been janky on both of them. But aside from that, it's been working dutifully for the past 2 years or so. The monitor on the left, I wish I could give you the model number on it. All I know is it's an Asus monitor. It's a 27-inch monitor. It's a 1080p 27-inch monitor from Asus. It has a 2 millisecond response time on it. I get like no ghosting on it. The quality is, the color quality is great, which is great for my 9-to-5 job, but for gaming, it is superb. It has DVI and HDMI inputs in the back. And I think there's even like a microphone or a headphone input in the back if you really needed to do anything. But if you're looking for like a small monitor for your bedroom, office, or whatever that you wanted to put on like a nightstand, I would totally recommend this bad boy, because even when I'm not working on it, I'll go and sit on the couch that you'll see behind me, and I'll watch movies in my office from once in a while. But that's my primary gaming monitor. On the right is my SyncMaster 2280 HD. It's an older Samsung monitor, and in fact, on the top of it, you could probably even make out the Windows Vista certification sticker on the top of it. The reason why I picked up this particular monitor back in the day, it is a very, very old monitor. I think it's going on 7 or 8 years now of duty. The color quality is terrible on it anymore. The contrast is starting to go out on it, but I'm going to use it until it breaks, because monitors are expensive and I'm not made of money. But more importantly, in the back of this thing, it's wonderful. There's inputs for pretty much everything in the back of it. It has, I think there's 2 composite inputs in the back of it. I do believe there are 2 HDMI inputs in the back of it. There's DVI input in the back of it. Standard PC input in the back of it. Gosh, what else is there? I think there's even just a standard RGB, or not RGB, but yellow, white, and red input. I don't even composite and component. So basically, if you've got plugs to go into a back of any type of input system, pretty much this monitor can take it, and that's why I love it, and that's why I'm going to keep it around for forever. I mean, this has more inputs in the back of it than my big television, and I'm using the word big in quotes, in my living room. I think my monitor on my desk might be bigger than my television in my living room. Anyway, moving on. You can see my Bose over-the-ear headphones. I've been using those. I use those almost every night. I try to, you know, when I'm doing when I'm syncing up audio and video and stuff like that, I always like to have a nice, good ear as to how loud my audio levels are. They're not the best, but nothing drives me crazy more than listening to a video where the background music is playing entirely too loud, because my brain always just wants to hear the background music instead of the person listening, and that defeats the purpose of the video. You can see I have a little flashlight and everything too for tinkering around behind my PC whenever it needs to happen. You'll also see I have an Xbox 360 wired controller. I use that for PC gaming, and the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3 controllers are out for, you know, just catching up on games. Anyway, to the right of my tower, probably should talk about my PC. The PC is a Windows PC, runs Windows 7. It's running Windows 7 Professional 64-bit edition. It is running at it's an i7 at 3.4 with 16 gigs of RAM and an NVIDIA GTX 660 Ti inside it. I have a 250 gig SSD card inside that I run all my programs, not my video games, just my standard programs, operating system, Adobe, that kind of stuff. And then I have two 1 terabyte internal drives that I use for gaming, because gaming takes up quite a bit of space, especially when I'm constantly installing and uninstalling more and more games. To the right of my tower, you can see I have this little setup, that little white shelf I got at Target for like $12 or something. But the top left of that little white shelf are my two external hard drives. One's a 2 terabyte and the other is a 3 terabyte external hard drive. And those are strictly for video game capture. If I'm playing a game, and most of the time I'm playing, you know, 2 at a time for a review, or 1 for a review and 1 for a feature, I record almost every single second of gameplay, and that just makes everything easier when I'm going back in and editing, to have everything that I possibly need. Occasionally, I used to try to selectively record things as I was going through, and it would drive me crazy because at the end of every review, I'd have to go back in and play the game again to a certain extent to get pickup shots for a video review to make it look right. I still do pickup shots every once in a while, but not nearly as often as I used to have to. In front of those is an old Blackmagic HD capture card that I need to put away in the closet, but it caps out at 720p. It does not do 1080p, so unfortunately I don't use that anymore. Right now what I am using is the HyperDuck HD PVR2 Gaming Edition, and you can see on the bottom I also have that HDMI converter. I run my PlayStation 4 and my PlayStation 3 through that HDMI converter to bypass the HDCP encoding. I realize that the PlayStation 4 has just recently lifted that with one of their recent updates, but you know, I have this set up that way, so it's just going to stay that way until I, you know, need that space back. But that's my standard hardware setup, and there's my little camcorder as well. You can see that I took to MagFest a couple of years ago. That's my video camera. So that's my hardware setup. If anybody is curious how how it works, basically the video goes out from the PlayStation 4. The video and audio goes out through the PlayStation 4, goes into the HyperDuck. The HyperDuck then sends a signal to my left monitor to display the game, and then it also sends a USB signal to the PC. And what I just do is I just change the channel on my left monitor to the game footage, and then I'll put the recording software just on my right monitor. So I do all my gaming right at my desk. So I play on the left, record on the right. That's basically it. As far as software goes, I'm not using anything crazy really to capture my software. For the HyperDuck, I just use the HyperDuck capture software. I believe you just download it from their website. I don't use the software that comes in the device, which is gosh, I can't remember even the name of it, but it's a nightmare and it crashes all the time. Since then, HyperDuck released this really simple HyperDuck capture program, which is what I use for that. PC gaming, this one's not a trade secret, and it's very simple and it's affordable, and it works great, is Fraps. I use Fraps all the time. I know a lot of people don't like it because it's resource heavy, but I think the quality that I get from Fraps is fantastic. I I think it's also a great way for me to measure frames per second on the screen, and I can always see a noticeable dip, and I know exactly when I'm recording whenever I'm recording with Fraps. I know there's other programs out there, but I'm comfortable and I'm happy with Fraps. The reason why I'm also kind of loving Fraps is because I can capture footage at 60 frames per second. I've been doing that for a long time. I think it makes a big difference in the quality in the videos. And I do tell it to split after every 4 gigs of files. 60 frames per second at 1080p, 4 gigs happens in no time. Now that means I'm chewing through the hard drive space, but at the same time it makes navigation through my files a little bit easier. I can just preview a video real quick and see which one I'm dealing with, and then if I know what I'm looking for happens later in the game, I can go ahead and just kind of skim through my videos and find what I need. And as far as my video editing stuff goes, Photoshop always comes into play, but for video editing, I just use, it's not Sony Vegas, it's Sony Movie Studio Platinum. It's Movie Studio Platinum 12, 64-bit edition. I believe they're up to Movie Studio Platinum 13 at the moment. A lot of people go ahead and get Sony Vegas, or some people will actually call this program Vegas, but it's not Vegas. Vegas is actually Sony's higher-end professional program, and I believe it starts at like $500 or something along those lines. That's a little bit overkill. I do have the Adobe suite, so I could be using Adobe products for editing my videos, but I truly love working on Movie Studio, Sony's platform, because one, they've got a great audio program along with it. Sony SoundForge is fantastic for doing audio work, but two, and it integrates perfectly with Movie Studio, and two, Movie Studio does everything that I need it to do when editing videos together. I can do multiple video channels, I can do multiple audio channels, I can do fades, I can do transitions. Pretty much everything that I need to do is already there, and there's really no need for me to do anything crazier than this. I can render in any format, I can render at whatever quality that I choose. So it's a pretty nice program, and I believe this would be the dream, but I do believe that if you have multiple computers that run this, you can even set up a rendering farm if you wanted to. I never do. I'm not rendering anything that crazy long. So that's it in terms of software. So it's basically Adobe products for video editing, for image editing, for like the YouTube thumbnails, for title cards, placeholders, that kind of stuff. For capturing, if it's on PC, I use Fraps. If it's on console, I'm using the HyperDuck capture software. And to stitch it all together, I use Vegas. Now, the actual process itself is a little bit different. I don't, except for Elder Speaks, like tonight, I never go without a script, or I try to not go without a script. Now, the reason why I write scripts for everything is I think that a well-written script is worth everybody's time, or at least I'm trying to save everybody time. Some videos, there's a considerable amount of fluff in them, and you just kind of say to yourself, okay, come on, skip, get to what I want you to know, get to what I want to hear. And I'll do my best to put everything, in a most concise, digestible format as possible for viewers to kind of understand. That being said, for my writing, I always use Google Docs, and the reason why I use Google Docs is because it's very shareable with everyone, so I can send it off to a friend or another staff member to edit my script before I do my voiceovers. Now, Google Docs, you can just collaborate. You can just send somebody a link and be like, here, quick, edit this over and let me know what you think, and then you can see it in real time what changes they're making. Again, I just feel like that having a good, concise script is worth more people's time. I think that seeing a script in front of you, you can make sure that you're hitting all the points that you want to hit before you go forward and publish it. But at the same time, I noticed that, and this isn't in all cases, but I do notice that some people expect a longer and more drawn out format, which, hey, that's their prerogative. And I also do see that some people miss when I make points in a video, or at least I suppose I'm failing to make these points if they are missing it. But because it's so concise, because I'm not sitting there hammering home every point I want to make, I try to make the point and then get out. So that's pretty much how I do everything. That's my hardware setup, and that's my process. Process is basically, play the game, write, edit, voiceovers, and then stitch it all together in Vegas. I really do like the scripted version of video reviews much better than I like free-flowing video reviews. I don't have the time to sit down and watch a half-hour video of somebody struggling to make one very simple point. I would rather somebody make the point and get out the door. But that's me, as I'm making this video probably a lot longer than it deserves to be or needs to be. But that's it. You know, I don't want to say there's not much else to it, but I mean, there is a considerable amount of work that goes into every video. But at this point, I've got a method, I've got a process, and it makes my life a little bit easier. If anybody has any questions about any of this, please feel free to ask. I'll be more than happy to, you know, help out or in any way that I can. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for sticking with this video as long as it's gone on. Hope you all learned something, and thanks. Have a good night.